In today's episode, Mel asks, what is the impact on our brand if it is known that we are using AI instead of humans to write our copy? It depends on your brand. Right? If you are making claims that your brand is all authentically and human and there's no AI used, and and authenticity, that human authenticity is part and parcel of your brand, then yeah, you could see some negative impacts if people run a checker on your website and says, yeah, it looks like a lot of their content is machine generated. On the other hand, if those things are not implicit as part of your brand's promise, right? If your brand is maybe similar to mine or Trust Insights, where you're known for providing valuable information, who wrote it is less important than the fact that it's valuable. Right? Whether a machine wrote it, whether a human wrote it, as long as the audience is getting what they came for, they're getting what they wanted, then yeah, it doesn't really matter who wrote it. It does from a legal perspective, from a copyright perspective. There are issues with using AI-generated output, namely you cannot copyright it, but that's not a branding issue. That's a legal issue. What is your brand promise? What is your brand? Zay Frank, back in 2006, had a great expression. He said, a brand is the emotional aftertaste from a series of experiences. And I love that definition. It is such an apt definition of what a brand is, because it is an emotional aftertaste. Part of those series of experiences, it might be, depending on a brand, it might be contingent on human versus machine-made content. It might not. Real simple example. If I go to the Department of Motor Vehicles website to renew my driver's license, do I care who wrote the copy? No. Do I care that the copy is correct? Yes, so that I know what to show up with, when I go to do my license renewal, or I try to do it online. I don't care who wrote it. I care that it's correct, that as a consumer, I'm getting the right information. If I'm reading sales techniques, that might be something that requires more of a human touch. And so if your brand promise is all about the authentic art of selling, then yeah, you could see some negative impacts there. But there's no one blanket answer here. You have to know your brand. You have to know your audience. You have to know what their interests are. You do have to consult with your legal department. But ultimately, it will be your audience that determines whether or not anyone cares that you're using AI to generate copy rather than humans. There are knock-on effects, which is important. If your brand is all about supporting small business and employees and stuff, there is an implicit belief, which is correct to some degree, that AI can cost jobs. It absolutely can. AI won't take your job, but an employee who is skilled at AI will take the jobs, plural, of people who are not skilled at AI. And so the use of AI, if you are a workers' rights advocate, that could be a mixed message, right? And that could in turn harm your brand. If, on the other hand, you are known as a ruthless, bloodless corporate raider, using AI would be perfectly aligned with your brand. There'd be no question at all. Like, yep, that is consistent with your brand. So it depends. It depends. If you have concerns, if you're worried about your brand and the use of AI, poll your audience, survey your audience, ask them, hey, do you care if here's a blog post, go read it and then run a survey. Like, do you care that a machine wrote this or not? And if people say, no, I didn't care, then you know that there probably won't be much of an impact on your brand. If people see no harm in consuming content that was generated by machines. You've got to ask your audience. You've got to know your audience to be able to answer this question. But it's a good question. It's worth asking. Anyway, that's the question. Thank you for tuning in. I'll talk to you next time. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button.